people do you know who spend their life pointing their finger at other people for the problems that they have? It's McDonald's problem that I'm overweight. It's the Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah, they're the ones that made me fat. It wasn't the fork that I keep sticking in my mouth. I had nothing to do with that. It's not me that made me broke, even though I do like to eat Doritos 5 hours a day and sit on the couch for the other 3 and stare at the television. No, that's not the reason I'm broke. It's not me who's responsible for the quality of my health care or my right to vote. And no, none of that. It's all your fault. It's the fault of skin color. It's the fault of education systems. It's the fault of old voting systems. It's the fault of anybody but me. Because if it was my fault, then I would be responsible for changing it. How weird is that? Do you know anybody that plays the blame game? Have you ever played the blame game yourself? Have you ever said things like, look how you made me feel? Let me tell you something. Leader or otherwise, the minute you play the blame game, you give up your power to change. Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. I can tell you there's a sad story even in my own life. Yeah, I was 298 pounds at one time. And I blamed the job, and I blamed the work, and I blamed the stress level. I blamed my past of being an addict, and I blamed my past of being molested as a child and abused by my stepfather. And I had all kinds of people to blame except the guy that kept sticking the fork in my mouth. When I realized that none of those people had any ability to change me, I had to do something about it, and that was to take personal responsibility for the outcome. I can tell you right now, we have an entire society that has built itself to believe that if I have a problem, it's your fault. And if you don't fix my problem, then we as a society have to fix it. Now, it's funny that we want to legislate gun control, we want to legislate voting rights, and we want to legislate whether you go to school or not, and we want to legislate. And by legislate, I mean we want to make laws to ensure that these people get to vote and those people don't, or that everybody gets to vote, whether they have a right to or not, or that everybody gets to participate because we all need participation trophies. We want to make laws regarding all of those things. We want to make laws about how fast you could drive, or what kind of car you could drive, or how old your car can be when you drive, or whether or not it's gas or electric or coal powered or steam powered, or it runs on wood. What we don't want to do is legislate morality. Let that one settle in for a minute. We don't want to legislate morality. Why? Because morality implies that we've already decided that some things are right and some things are wrong. That some things are good and some things are bad. We don't want to legislate that. We don't want any laws about what's right or wrong or good or bad. We just want to have, regardless of where you start, an equal outcome. We want to make sure that everybody ends the race at the same time, that we all cross the finish line at exactly the same time, that no amount of individual effort or personal responsibility will play into that. No, if you have something, it's because you took it. If you own something, it's because you probably stole it from somebody else, and it's not the labor of your hands that caused it to be there, or in the words of someone recently in our political past, you didn't build that. See, the ability of individual responsibility and the ability of individual rights and the ability of individual freedom to set the course for an entire society is proven, and it's evidenced. And it dates all the way back to humanity's earliest days. The first 4 humans, one of them killed his brother. And he was asked, why did you do that? And he said, what, am I my brother's keeper? I'm not taking responsibility for me. He's dead, so what? So we've got to take responsibility for ourselves or we lose the power to be individually free. If we take responsibility for everybody else, and I don't mean that we don't care about them or that we don't care about other people, that we don't stop and help someone with their groceries or help a young child get out of the street when they've fallen on their bicycle before they get hit by a car. That is taking responsibility for the space around you. But blaming someone for what you failed to do, that's a whole different thing. And we want to legislate the outcomes to make sure that everybody has an equal outcome, but not the equal effort. We don't want people to put in the same amount of effort in one place that they do in another to get the outcome that they want. Look, if I wanted to look like Clint Flouquois and have ripped muscles and bench press 300 pounds and still only weigh 175 pounds, I could do that. But I can't make him do it for me. No amount of Clint going to the gym is going to make me get in shape. No amount of Clint going to the gym and eating the right diet and exercising regularly is going to make me get in shape. No, my butt has to get to the gym. My butt has to grab the barbell. My butt has to eat the right food. Otherwise, my butt's just going to get bigger, and I'm never going to look like Clint or Jim Gardner. And that's not their fault. That's my fault. And I know that, and I have to take responsibility for that. And that means it's not only my individual responsibility, it's my individual right and my individual power that are at stake. When I see and hear politicians who say, well, that's not your fault. You're not like that because of you. You're like that because of them. Or you don't have the job that you want, or the car that you want, or the house that you want, or the education that you want, or the health care that you want because of any fault of your own. It's because of them. You know what? The minute you do that, them has all the power in your life. The minute them has all the responsibility in your life, them has all the power in your life. Whoever them is, whoever the other people are. If you want to have control of your life, do the things that give you control of your life. We don't want to legislate morality because we don't want to decide that anything is right or wrong. But when you continue to get bills in the mail and don't have money to pay them, maybe it's a right or wrong idea to keep that subscription or keep that bill coming in that you could have turned off. It's your choice. It's your responsibility. Nobody forced you to have it. I mean, cell phones are a very expensive venture. If it does your life well and it's an expense that you can justify or accommodate, then rock on with it. But if you find yourself unable to eat and you're standing in food lines while you've got a $1,000 phone in your hand and a $300 a month bill, maybe it's time to reassess your priorities because you have control of that and nobody else does. No one is forcing you to have a cell phone. You can still get a landline in your house. You can. You can even get a $19 a month internet package that comes with a VoIP that allows you to make phone calls right from your laptop or your old desktop phone. You can literally just click on the Skype button and call anybody in the world. Yep, it's true. Probably not as convenient as having a cell phone, but it's a lot cheaper than that $50 to $300 a month bill. And that is the power of choice. No one is forcing you to have a cell phone. But if you choose to have it, you have to be free to have the responsibility to pay for the bill. Nobody else owes you a cell phone. It's not a basic right. Why do I bring this up? Because I see that we're going down a path in our beloved United States of America where everybody else is being blamed for the outcomes, good, bad, or otherwise. Now, are there people who need some help? Yes. Are there people who are down on their luck who've made decisions or something has happened to them completely beyond their control? Absolutely. Are there people who need a little more help because the circumstances in their life beyond their control have made it impossible for them to do for themselves? Sure there are. But I think when we have a society that is morally good and basically responsible, that everyone around them will recognize that need and say, of my own goodwill, of my own goodness, of my own personal responsibility, I'm going to step out. Let me give you one just tiny fraction of an example. As I was leaving the house the other day with my wife, we're driving out of the driveway, and about 3 houses down, there's a little kid, 4 or 5 of them. They're probably 8, 10 years old. And they're running out in the middle of the street and sitting down in the middle of the street where the stripe would be, on a street that I live on, and I know there are idiots on this street that do 45 and 50 miles an hour because they think it's a racetrack. And I frequently harass them about doing so. But these kids are sitting in the middle of the street on the same street. And so I rolled up to where they're sitting in the street, and I stopped and I rolled my window down. I said, you may not know this, but this part of the street is made for cars. And if a car hits you in this street, the driver will not be charged with a crime because you don't belong in this street, the cars do. Now, I know that for a fact because several years ago in the same neighborhood less than 6 blocks from here, we had a block party where the entire street was legally blocked off, barricades and everything. And a car drove around that barricade, drove down the street, came really close to a couple of the small children that were playing in our block party. And one of the guys in our group, who is a black belt and a master instructor in several forms of martial arts, did a spinning heel kick and knocked the headlight out of the car. The lady driving the car called the police, reported him for criminal mischief and destruction of private property, and she did not get charged for driving on a street that was closed with permits and coming too close to children in the streets. He got a ticket for destruction of private property and a criminal trespass charge. So I know this to be a fact. You can't legislate good behavior, good common sense, or morality, but you can create laws that benefit a twisted ideology. It's just my own opinion, but I believe that if we take responsibility, the adults that heard me tell these kids, the driver will not be charged if they run over you in the street, laughed out loud as if I was making it up. Because they weren't controlling their own children. They hadn't taught their own children responsibility to not play in the street. Well, you can't legislate stupidity either, apparently. And when one of those poor little guys gets run over and the ambulances and the fire trucks roll up in front of my house, there's plenty of evidence that these little kids love to play in the street and play in people's bushes and play in backyards where they don't belong because their parents haven't taught them individual responsibility and they've lost the power to control their own life because of it. This seems like a bit of a rant because it is. I really get frustrated with people saying you can't legislate morality. Don't try to put your moral code on me. Look, pick any moral code that you want. I don't care if it's Christianity or it's Buddhism or whatever it is. Pick any moral code that you want. But then take responsibility for your own life. Lead your life first. And if you're taking control of you and your own health care and your own finances and your own individual relationships and your own ability to get and keep a job, if you're showing up on time and doing the work with the best of your diligence, you will find prosperity in this world. It is a universal human principle. I don't care what economic system you're under. I don't care what part of the world you're under. But if you can't legislate morality, then why are we trying to tax everything in the world? And why are we trying to create laws that tell you who you can hang out with and who you can talk to and who you can vote for and who you can't? Because right now, my friends, that is what's happening. That's not leadership. That's tyranny. That's not leadership. That's control. That doesn't put individual power in the hands of individual people. That puts power in the hands of an elite few who will legislate from the bench, who will tell you where you can go, what you can eat, what you can drive, what you can wear, who you can talk to, who you can hang out with, and who you can worship. And if you think I'm kidding, go back and read your history books. It's happened everywhere, every time tyrants got in control. And if you don't think tyrants are in control right now and trying to gain more, and I'm not talking about a political party, I'm talking about a ruling class. If you don't think tyrants are in control right now, you're blind. Or you're just not paying attention. It's time to start now taking individual responsibility for your own individual outcomes so that you can maintain your individual rights and your individual power to do so. If not, somebody else will control you. Your only option is to lead yourself. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.